Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hold My Nuggets Incorporated for your 2019 NFL Week 11 pregame analysis show. I am the host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. We're doing it a little bit different this time. We're in the car. We're just hanging out. All right, let's break down exactly what's going to transpire this upcoming week of football. First and foremost, tonight, I am going to be live on YouTube, also on Hot Mic. I'm going to leave the links in the description, the links down in the top pinned comment, and then when the timestamps people show up, I'll just copy and paste the timestamps and add it to the comments as well. But tune in live tonight to see me cover commentary on the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. Some notable injuries for Pittsburgh: Snell is not yet returning, and Joe Hayden's dealing with an illness, but Joe Hayden most likely will play. In the case of the Browns, Olivier Vernon is going to miss, I believe, his second consecutive game as well. And they said something about Jones. They're not sure if he's going to be available. I believe that was the tight end. They're not sure if he's going to be available. So that's something to look forward to. Is it Ricky Seals-Jones? I think that's what his name is called. But whatever the case may be, this is a very intriguing AFC North matchup. Both these teams cannot afford to lose any more games. For Cleveland, I don't think 9-7 is necessarily a record that can get them into the wild card in the postseason. So every game is a playoff game moving here on out. But I have a little bit of a concern because Pittsburgh's defense has been able to get after the quarterback, and they've put pressure on every single quarterback. TJ Watt leads the league in a QB hits. So that's something that should be a cause to pause for the offensive line for the Cleveland Browns, because we've seen time in, time out, whenever Baker Mayfield is under duress and he tries to make a play and holds on to the football, this man turns the football over. When he has design plays, when he gets rid of the football quick, they actually play a little bit better. So I'm interested to see how things will play out. But the most notable thing, who I say is the X factor for this game, is Kareem Hunt. Yes, I understand Nick Chubb is running over a ton of different teams that he's done thus far this season. He's put up a ton of numbers. However, Kareem Hunt, I'm interested to see how Kitchens will utilize him in the play calling. Last week we saw him only get 4 carries, but he had 7 catches out of the backfield. So I'm interested to see if they come out of more dual back sort of formations to try to manipulate, those Steelers linebackers. Because the Steelers linebackers, they can stop the run, they can hit people, but when it comes to coverage, I'm not too sure how good they are. So if I was the Browns, I'd try to exploit that. And with the receivers, Jarvis Landry's been balling. I think majority of the games thus far, the past 5 games, he's been playing better than he did the first 5 or the first 4 at that. And OBJ has only had 200-yard games on the year and only 1 touchdown that came against the Jets. I thought he had a touchdown recently, but either it got called back or it got intercepted. But I could have swore this man had a touchdown. Maybe it was a 2-point conversion. Whatever the case may have been, OBJ has to get incorporated into this offense to get stuff going. They got to get the ball into his hands. Now, if it resonates into wins and the man only has 5 catches, then so be it. Winning a football game is much more important than this man getting the production that he wants. But Cleveland has to be able to protect the football. But for Pittsburgh, it's simple. James Conner is back. Ramon Foster is back. Run the football, and you can walk away with this W. The past 2 times that James Conner has gone against the Cleveland Browns, he's run over 120 yards each time. The first 140 plus, the second I think like 124 yards. Both times he's had over 25 carries. So the blueprint is there. Run the football, take that pressure off of Mason Rudolph, and then try to stretch the field. Take advantage of these Cleveland corners. Not to say that they're slouches by any means, but they are young. But at the same time, the receiving corps for the Steelers is young too. I would say take advantage of those safeties and the linebackers. They're great in the run game. When it comes to pass coverage, they're not bad by any estimation. But I don't think they're able to cover those Pittsburgh tight ends. So I think Nick Vannett and also Vance McDonald should have a huge game. And defensively, I'm expecting Pittsburgh to fire on all cylinders. But I'm rolling with the Steelers to win this game. Next, the Jets taking on the Redskins in Washington. I expect to see Adrian Peterson, not get as much production now that Darius Geist is more, he's activated now. And I don't expect much of a run game from Washington overall, because the Jets were able to hold Saquon Barkley to 1 yard on the ground last week. And right now, he's better than Adrian Peterson. He's better than Darius Geist. And he's been held to, that 1 yard. So I don't expect to see old man Peterson, who's still extremely capable. But when we're talking about right now, we're not talking careers, because Adrian Peterson is one of my favorite running backs. I never disrespect this man like that. But right now, when they come onto the field, Saquon Barkley is better than AP right now. At his peak, obviously, AP was all world. But we're talking right now. I understand people don't understand context. It's just like when somebody says, when Flash Gordon, Josh Gordon says he's been taking steps up with quarterbacks. There's disrespect to Brady. No, right now, Russell Wilson is playing better than Tom Brady. But Tom Brady just won a Super Bowl. Right now, Russell Wilson is playing better than Tom Brady. Understand context of conversations, ladies and gentlemen. But in the case of, the Washington Redskins trying to run the football, I don't expect that to happen against this Jets front. So when it comes to passing, I'm not sure what Haskins is going to do with the limited targets that he has. Now, granted, Sam Darnold, he just got another W under his belt. He's got that confidence back. He doesn't appear to be seeing ghosts. And more importantly, this Washington Redskins front is not really an opportunistic defense. So I expect the Jets to go out there and get the job done. But most importantly, if I'm them, utilize Le'Veon Bell. Now, granted, he's a little bit banged up, so I'm not sure how much, touches he's going to get. But get him the ball early, get him the ball often, if he's going to be, a focal point in the game call, in the play calling. So get the ball into the hands of Le'Veon Bell. I think this will most likely be his best outing yet. But for Darnold, utilize Jamison Crowder. Get him the ball in the slot. You've seen it work all season. Keep that up. Washington's not really that good. So I expect the Jets to go and get this W over here. Most likely it'll come down to a field goal, and they mess around and win off that. Saints taking on the Bucks. NFC South matchup. Now, I'd love to say the Saints would lose back-to-back games to teams that they should have beaten, but I don't think that's going to happen. Initially, coming into this week, I thought the Bucs could mess around and pull off the upset, but given the loss that the Saints just had and that terrible outing that they had at home against Atlanta, they're going to bounce back here. I expect that defense to play better, but I'll say this much. The offense of the Bucs is going to be firing when it comes to Godwin and Evans. I expect one of them to have over a 150-yard day. Why? Because Marshawn Lattimore ended up leaving the game last week with, I believe it was a hip injury. So he's going to be a bit banged up, and he's that number one corner for the Saints. So if he's a little bit slowed down, Mike Evans, 2 of the last 3 games, he's had over 150 yards. So I expect him to be balling. And Godwin has since taken a step back since the first month of the season. So it's only a matter of time before he gets going again. So I expect the Bucs passing attack to be working. But on the ground, I don't see Ronald Jones doing nothing. I don't expect Peyton Barber to be doing anything. And ultimately, if it becomes the more passes that Winston throws, the higher the propensity for him to turn the football over. So I expect him to mess around and throw an interception, because it's tradition now. He throws a pick in the first quarter or fumbles in the first quarter. And the Saints will find a way to take advantage of that. So I expect them to go and get that W. On the ground, I'm interested to see how healthy Alvin Kamara really is. Last week, you didn't see anything. I think it was 4 carries for 14 yards. That's not good by any means. So I want to see how that plays out. The Bucs coverage is not that very good, and Michael Thomas just had 13 catches for 158 yards. I expect him to replicate the same sort of production, and he's going to continue to lead the NFL in receiving yards. I'm rolling with the Saints to win this game. I think it will be somewhat of an offensive shootout. The Saints defense will be better, but I think the Saints offense will control the clock, but the Bucs will capitalize on big plays or blown coverages. But ultimately, I got the Saints winning. The Saints defense will not be slouches, but it'll be either misdirections or busted coverages that cost the Saints, giving up maybe 24 points or something by some estimation. But I think it'll be similar to what we saw last year when the Chiefs played against the Rams, and it was that 54-51 final score. But it wasn't as if the Rams defense was slouches, because they scored 2 touchdowns. So it's going to be one of those situations where you see a high-scoring game. But I got the Saints winning. Broncos taking on the Vikings in Minnesota. This here is a trap game. Now, granted, the Vikings, or I should say, pardon me, the Broncos don't really have quarterback play that makes you want to back up and give you some cause to pause. But for some apparent reason, They're a very sneaky team. I don't know why. They're very sneaky. They shouldn't be something that you look at them on the schedule like, oh boy, we got to watch out for the Broncos. I don't think that's the case. But something about Minnesota, I don't know about the consistency. Over the course of October, Kirk family member Cousins has made me a little bit of a believer, but I'm not sure. I still have the Minnesota Vikings winning this game at home. Why? I think Dalvin Cook will do what he did last week against the Cowboys, over 150 all-purpose yards. I think he'll be able to run the football effectively, but it all comes down to protection of Kirk Cousins. The line of the Vikings has been playing better as of late. The pass rush for the Broncos is really just Von Miller, given that Chubb is gone for the entire season, but that's from months, or I should say a couple of weeks ago. Actually, I think it's been over a month since he's been gone. So, protection. The Vikings cannot afford to have any mental lapses or overlook the Broncos, because if they want to keep pace with the Packers to possibly mess around and win that division, they got to win these games. So it's on them. Thielen, we're not sure what his availability is going to be. I heard it's probable that he might play. Then I heard he's questionable, so who knows? Also, I heard at one point it was doubtful, so it's all over the place. Sources are all over the place, so I'm not sure. Diggs, I expect to see him play a little bit better. Rudolph in red zone situations. I told you last week he'd score 2 touchdowns, and lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. But the name of the game is going to be Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison. I expect both of those guys to go out there, run for over 150 yards combined, and get Minnesota this win against Denver at home. All right. Next, the Bills taking on the Dolphins, AFC East matchup. You see the Dolphins coming in hot with a 2-game win streak, taking on this Bills team that had a tough loss against Cleveland. Now, I'll say this much. Once again, my only concern with Buffalo is their ability to pass the football. It's very similar to Chicago. You have a good defense. You can run the football. In the Bills' case, they run the football better than Chicago. But can you pass the ball when the run game is not there? You saw last week, the failure of the pass game of the Colts is what cost them against the Dolphins. So now, if the Dolphins come out and for some apparent reason they're able to shut down that Bills run game, can Josh Allen, take advantage of that Dolphins defense? He should be able to. There's no reason why he shouldn't, but if he has to constantly go out there and have to depend on his legs to get the job done, and you become one-dimensional, they're going to do to him the same thing that the Chargers did to Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. They're going to stack 7, DBs. They're going to bring out 7 DBs, only 4 down linemen. They're just going to get rid of the linebackers, and they're going to outspeed you if you're trying to use scat backs and get to the edge. They're going to outspeed you and put more mans on you if you're trying to run in between the tackles, because they're going to have all those the D-backs condense all the way down, and you could break one tackle, but if you got like 3 different people and you got to break these, not everybody's Barry Sanders out here. So for the Bills, you got to be able to get that passing game going and build that confidence. I think they'll be able to win this game against Miami, but then again, it's Ryan Fitzmagic, Patrick Tragic, so who knows what will transpire with this man. He's hot, then he's cold, he's up, then he's down. Nobody knows. All right, but I'm rolling with the Bills to win this game on the road. I expect that ground game to get going. I don't see why they shouldn't be able to run against Miami. But if they don't, maybe Josh Allen will pick up 50 yards on the ground by himself and run for a couple of touchdowns. But as far as the Bills are concerned, I believe in that defense. I believe in that run game. But I'm going to need to see a little bit more from, Josh Allen to make me a true believer of that playoff push. Next, the Jags taking on the Colts. My monitor almost fell on the goddamn floor. The Jags taking on the Colts. This an AFC South matchup. Now, for the Jags, this is Nick Foles' return. He will be starting against this Colts front. Now, Jacoby Brissett, we're not sure about if he's playing or not. I'm sure by the time this video is posted tomorrow, they'll probably have the official decision. If it's Hoyer that's in there, I'm taking the Jags to win. If it's Brissett that's in there, I'm taking the Colts to win. And this is why. All right, I think that protection of the Colts, although they did have that injury with their center, but he's back now, so I'm hoping that protection is there. They need that. And desperately Marlon Mack has to have an over 100-yard game. Last game, he played all right against the Dolphins, but it wasn't enough to go out there and get them that W. They need that run game if Hoyer's in there, because if it's on Hoyer to go and win you the game with his arm, you're not going to get the same, production that he had against Pittsburgh. But you got to remember, he was benefited with a short field on 2 of his 3 touchdown drives. So, can he go the length of the field against a Jags defense that by no means are they slouches? They're not what they were 2 years ago, but they're not some scrubs out there. They can still play very good defense. Offensively, I would like to see for the Jags if they can utilize that run game. I want to see if Fournette can be consistent, go out there and get over 100 yards to make it easier for Foles. Because this is Foles' first game back, and he's a little bit rusty. Who knows how he'll go out there and play. Week 1, he did look all right. But remember, last year to kick off the season for the Eagles, he was rough. He was rusty that first game when they played against the Falcons. So I don't know what his production is going to be, what it's going to look like. But as far as I'm concerned, if it's going to be Brian Hoyer who's starting for the Colts, I got the Jags winning. If it's going to be Jacoby Brissett starting for the Colts, I got the Colts winning. But these games always go down to the wire, man. They always go down to the wire. I think Eric Ebron's going to mess around and make a play and put his team in a position to win that game. I'm rolling with the damn Colts to win at home. Cowboys taking on the Lions. Matthew Stafford, I haven't heard if he's going to play this game yet. If it's Jeff Driscoll, it's Cowboys all the way. If it's Matthew Stafford, he can make things interesting. But ultimately, I think the Cowboys will walk into Ford Field, walk out with the W. Why? Zeke is going to have maybe a 200-yard day. I think maybe it's going to be over 150 for sure. But Zeke is going to run all over that Lions defense. All right? Why? For one, he had a terrible game last game, and he understands, he's the only person who underperformed. All right? Amari Cooper was balling. Dak was balling. Randall Cobb was balling. There was no excuse as to why Zeke couldn't run the football. It was very perplexing as to why this man couldn't get to the second level. It seemed like he wasn't looking through the right holes. His vision wasn't on, so he took a week off. He has to bounce back. And because of that, when Zeke plays good, the Cowboys play good. And I don't expect that Lions defense to really create trouble for Dak. And similar to what I always say is Zeke sets up third and manageable. I expect him to do that, and Dak is one of the better quarterbacks in the league on third and short situations. So I expect that to, be shown this coming Sunday. And defensively, I think the Cowboys match up very well with this Lions team. Byron Jones blanketing, whether it's Kenny Golladay, whether it's Marvin Jones. But if it's Driscoll out there, I expect this man to have a very tough game because Tank Lawrence is coming. Jalen Smith is coming. Van Der Esch is coming. Sean Lee is coming. Now, I heard something about Sean Lee. Sean Lee practiced thus far in the week he's practiced. Van Der Esch, they're talking about there's a little bit of limited here and there, but I didn't hear any words about them not playing. So I expect that Cowboys defense to go out there and probably get a couple of turnovers and they get back on track. But I got them winning. For the Lions, it's going to be a tough loss. They need to utilize their run game and get it going. You just saw Dalvin Cook run for 97 yards. And the Vikings overall ran for over 150. I believe they did. Because Madison had, I think, maybe about 50 or 40 something. Whatever the case may have been. But the Lions got to get that run game going. But they haven't really been consistent in that department. So I got the Cowboys winning on the road. Falcons taking on the Panthers. This should be a bounce-back game for the Panthers after a very tough loss. But then again, Julio Jones matches up very good against the Panthers every time he plays against them. So I'm curious to see how that play out. More importantly, Matt Ryan is back and he's healthy. Picking up that big statement win last week against, the Saints to say, hey, our season may not be going to the postseason, but you're not going to just stick a fork in us just now. We can still go out there and play spoiler for some teams trying to get places. So I expect that Falcons offense to come out firing. And more importantly, it's going to be a heavy passing attack because Devontae Freeman did get hurt. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that run game. Brian Hill ran pretty good on the day, out of receiving some passes too as well. But I don't expect him to go out there and give him like an 80-yard, performance on the ground. Then again, I expect the Panthers to assume it's going to be heavy passing attack. So maybe they might be soft on the run, the run defense when it comes to the Falcons. So that'll be interesting. And the Carolina Panthers, again, Kyle Allen has to make me a believer. He has to make me a believer. I believe in Run CMC. Believe me, I do. But last week, you saw Alvin Kamara do absolutely nothing. The most Latavius of Murray's did absolutely nothing. So if the Falcons can go out there and nullify CMC, what happens with the Panthers? Can you believe in Kyle Allen to throw this football? Man, I want to say Panthers, man, but this can go either way. It honestly can go either way. I'm leaning a little bit more towards Atlanta. I believe Carolina's the better football team. I believe they're the better football team by head and shoulders. But the Falcons, I think Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, they're going to connect and make some magic, man. They're going to make some magic. I don't expect Run CMC to be completely shut down, but if it becomes the Kyle Allen show and he's got to be the guy to go out there and make plays, I don't believe in him yet. I do not. Now, who knows? He can make me a believer, similar to what happened in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. He's made me a believer. I believe in Lamar Jackson. Hell, I believe in Kyler Murray, too. He's made me a little bit of a believer, too, because he's been balling. But I need to see more from Kyle Allen, man. He's got to go out there because he did show some poise on that final drive for Carolina, getting down to the 1-yard line. But I just need to see a little bit more. And I don't think he's going to have that little bit more this Sunday. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. I'm rolling with Atlanta to win this game on the road. Texans taking on the Ravens. In my opinion, this and also the Patriots and Eagles are the games of the week. But also Chiefs and Chargers, but it's not going to be as good as the other ones. But then again, it's on prime time. Last year, they had an instant classic on Thursday Night Football. We ain't talking about that right now. Texans taking on the Ravens in Baltimore. Oh, boy. I wish J.J. Watt was going to be playing. But Lamar Jackson's balling. He is balling. God, I want everything in my soul to pick against Baltimore, but I can't do it. I can't do it. They are firing on all cylinders, man. That defense is scoring touchdowns. They had 2 defensive touchdowns last week on the ground. Lamar Jackson's running very well. Mark Ingram doesn't even have to go out there and get 100 yards every single game. All right, and through the year, Lamar Jackson's no slouch either. I think he was 15 for 17 and 3 TDs last game. All right, he's playing very well. And the Texans' pass rush isn't nothing to be worried about. J.J. Watt's not there. Clowney's balling in Seattle. Whitney Merciless. It's not like as if he's getting a ton of pressure on the quarterbacks left and right to make you circle them on the damn on the depth chart when you're looking at who the hell you got to go against. So I'm going to roll with Baltimore to win this game. And on the ground game for the Texans, that's where the X factor has to lie, because Carlos hide and seek has to get going. You need this man to run the football effectively if you want to be able to beat this Ravens front. More importantly, you got to be able to protect. The Ravens can blitz. The Ravens can get to the quarterback. You saw 2 weeks ago against the Patriots, they were struggling to block. Tom Brady was under duress every single play. So with this Texans O-line, which is one of the worst O-lines in the league, they're playing a little bit better as of late. And when I say better, that doesn't mean that they're playing very well. I mean, they played like utter basura at the beginning of the season, and now they're just a little bit less basura, but they're still in the garbage can. All right? If they can't protect Deshaun Watson, this game is over. I expect DeAndre Hopkins to have a very big game because, you know, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. But I'm a little bit worried about that O-line. If they blanket Marcus Peters on DeAndre Hopkins, I expect this man to have a ton of catches, a ton of yards, a ton of touchdowns. But obviously, there are going to be times in which they move over, you know, Marlon Humphrey over there as well, who's been balling this season too. Earl Thomas playing the safety, and he's going to be probably over, you know, rollover coverage on top of D-Hop as well. So those other guys got to get going, the Kiki Cooties of the world. Those guys got to go and get their receptions going and really help this Texans front. But damn it, I'm rolling with the Ravens to win this game because I don't believe in that Texans O-line. I think Deshaun Watson will make some magic. I think the game will come down to like the fourth quarter or maybe even overtime, similar to what we saw last year with Kansas City and Baltimore. I think it's going to be one of those exciting games, but I'm going to give the edge to Baltimore, man. I just feel much more secure with their offensive line against this Texans defense versus the Texans offensive line against Baltimore. I'm rolling with Baltimore to win this game at M&T Bank Stadium. Cardinals taking on the 49ers. This game 2 weeks ago, was much closer than people thought, and that was in Arizona. I'll say this much, though. The Cardinals keep falling behind early. I'm a little bit concerned about that, and the 49ers are not one to, jump out to a lead, although you did see it this past Monday. But they're not going to be one who jumps out to an early lead and begins to, squander up a ton of points to really make you concerned. Granted, they did this 2 weeks ago as well against, the Cardinals. Then again, that's a little bit of an antithesis of what it is that I'm trying to say here. I'm being antithetical in a sense. They can end up messing around and lose the lead. I'm going to change my mind. The 49ers can't afford to jump out to a lead and start to squander it, because we have seen the Cardinals battle from behind all season. Sometimes they do walk away with a W, sometimes they don't, okay? But I'm still going to pick the 49ers to go and bounce back. They played a sensational game, and more importantly, their defense last week was absolutely magnificent. You had 4 sacks, you had 4 takeaways. They were hitting Russell Wilson all day, and let's just be honest, that offense for the Seahawks is miles ahead of the offense for the Panthers. I don't expect to see Christian Kirk go out there and catch 3 touchdowns again. I don't expect to see, on the ground where you had Kenyon Drake a couple weeks back run for over 100 yards. I don't expect to see that happen. So I'm going to pick the 49ers to win at home. I think the Cardinals will make it interesting, but I don't think they're going to have enough to beat the 49ers. They kind of, as I was speaking, I was thinking, my man, you know what? The Cardinals could mess around and pull off this upset. They could do it. I think they're going to make the game interesting. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I could be wrong. This could be where the upset alert is. I'll say this much. If the Cardinals do win, they had it in them. They definitely had it in them. They learned from 2 weeks ago. I'm just going to go with the safe bet and roll with the 49ers. I really want to pick upset alert here. Like, hearing myself explain it, I want to pick upset alert here. But you know what? I'm going to roll with the 49ers to win. Patriots taking on the Eagles, rematch of Super Bowl 52. Now, I'll say this much. The Eagles secondary is where the concern continues to be for this Eagles team. Offensively, I like their run game as long as they continue to feed Jordan Howard, and it's in Philly, so it's going to be loud, it's going to be crazy. I expect the atmosphere to be ridiculous, especially since the fact that this is a rematch of the Super Bowl in which the Philadelphia Eagles did win and get that redemption. I'm sure they're going to have clips and highlights of it all over the place, all over the stadium. Anybody who looks up is going to be wild. So I expect the Eagles to mess around and win this game, and thus giving Baltimore the #1 seed in the AFC. And the only reason why is because the Patriots are coming onto the road, and they're going to be in a very, very tough environment. It's going to be very similar to when they went to Baltimore. You're somewhere where nobody likes you. It's going to be loud. You don't have the benefit of, having the crowd quiet on the snap count and all the other stuff. It's going to be crazy. All right, and I expect that Philly offense to be firing on all cylinders. I think they're going to be able to run the ball effectively. You saw Baltimore last play against New England and run the ball down their throats. I expect Philly to do that too, because Philly has a pretty good rushing attack. Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, they can run. They can definitely run. My only concern is, can Philly catch the football? Nelson Aguilar. He's Nelson Occasional Hands Aguilar. Can he catch? Alshon Jeffrey. There's no Djax for the rest of the season. Zach Ertz. You've seen these guys go out there, Dallas Goedert, dropping footballs. It's very perplexing. Carson Wentz is making those passes. Guys just ain't catching it. But with the Cowboys' loss, the Eagles have an opportunity to mess around and take a lead in their division. So it's up to them to go out there and perform. They cannot afford to lose, because with their record, they're not going to be a wild card team. So they're going to have a desperation sort of game. The crowd is going to be into it. I think they're going to be firing on all cylinders. I don't expect this to be a blowout by any estimation. I think it'll come down to Jake Elliott making a go-ahead field goal, and then the Patriots offense coming onto the field and replicating the exact same thing that happened in Super Bowl 52, where he either gets strip sacked or he throws an interception. One of the two, but I think it will be Jake Elliott putting the go-ahead field goal, whether it's 1 possession before the final possession or 2 possessions before the final possession. But I think the game will end with the Patriots offense on the field, but somebody on that Philly defense either strips, sacks, or intercepts Brady. That's the way I see it. I got the Eagles winning this game at home. Next, the Bengals taking on the Raiders in Oakland. Oakland now coming off of a sensational home win on Thursday night, being at 5-4, seeing the Chiefs lose last week with an opportunity to tie them in the division. Man, I'm rolling with them Raiders to go and win, and I have no faith in the Bengals whatsoever. No AJ Green, no Andy Dalton. Yes, Joe Mixon ran for over 100 100 yards. Yes, you can run the football effectively against the Raiders, but still, I think Derek Carr's playing at a very elite level over the course of the past 6 games. Josh Jacobs is running very well through the passing attack. Guys are catching the football, they're not dropping, and the Raiders defense is playing very good. All right, their rookie sensation that they drafted at 2.5 sacks last game against the Chargers, Farrell. Client Farrell, did I pronounce that right? Is it Client Farrell? Whatever the hell the name is. But he had 2.5 sacks. I expect them to be firing on all cylinders. The Bengals team is very, very bad. I'm rolling with the Raiders to win this game. Bears taking on the Rams, prime time. Last year, we saw the Bears absolutely thrash the Rams in prime time last year. But this time around, Rams looking to bounce back. Their offense is struggling, but also the Bears' offense is struggling as well. Defensively, both these teams are playing good football. I'm just a little bit concerned about that Bears offense, man. I expect Cooper Kupp to have a little bit of a better game, but still, I think this is a game in which the Bears defense wins them the game because they're going to go out there and catch interceptions, return for touchdowns. They're going to pick up fumbles, return them for touchdowns. I think they're going to put Eddie Pinheiro in a good position to go out there and win games. I want to pick the Rams so bad. They're at home too. This should be a swing because last year they played in Chicago. But damn it, oh God, Khalil Mack might mess around and mess this whole thing up because the Rams did have some issues on their offensive line against Pittsburgh where the center did get hurt, carted off the field. So I'm rolling with the Bears to win this on the road. Bears D-line is going to do enough to win them that game. I think the Bears defense is the sole reason why they walk into LA and walk out with a W. That offense will continue to be abysmal. Believe me, it will not be Mitch Trubisky and that offense that wins them the game. If they do, come back to this comment section and call me a big dummy. But I got the Bears winning this game on the road. I want to pick LA so bad. Believe me, I do. Because I think Aaron Donald's going to have a virtuoso performance. But the struggle for Jared Goff will continue. The Bears can get after the quarterback. There's an injury to Danny Trevathan, I believe. I think it's Danny Trevathan. No, it's not Roquan Smith. I'm pretty sure it's Danny Trevathan. So we're not sure if he's going to be playing or not. But still, I have the Bears winning this game on the road. I think that defense becomes their offense and gets them this W. And last but not least, Chargers taking on the Chiefs. I'll say this. Last year was an instant classic coming down to, I believe it was Mike Williams, game-winning touchdown, and then also the 2-point conversion. Pardon me, it was a game-winning 2-point conversion to win the game. I'll say this. Tyreek Hill has been balling out of his mind. I think he had 11 catches for 157 yards. That offense is firing on all cylinders. They had over 530 yards of total offense last week against the Titans. It wasn't enough to get that W because that defense was utter trash. All right, the Chargers offense was playing very good outside of Phillip Rivers turning the football over last week. So this all comes down to defense. That's all it is. It comes down to defense. And I believe in the Chargers defense a little bit more than the Chiefs defense. But I believe in the Chiefs offense way more than I believe in the Chargers offense. So it's just pick your poison. I think this game can go either way. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to come down once again to the field goal kicker. Now, is it going to be Harrison Buckner or is it going to be Moneybags Michael Badgley? If it's Badgley, I'm choosing the Chargers to lose because the Chargers always find a way to miss field goals in the closing seconds. If it comes down to the Chiefs, the Chargers have to hope for a block because I do not see Harrison Buckner missing that field goal. And on top of that, this is in Los Angeles. It's not as if this is some sort of, home field advantage. Los Angeles, every single time the Chargers have a home game, is damn near as if they're away because the team that's coming on the road, their fan base is so vast. They're over there cheering, and then it's wild. Remember when the Chargers played against the Steelers? It was a home game for Pittsburgh in Los Angeles. So I think I'm going to lean more towards Kansas City, but I think it's going to come down to the wire. But I just trust that offense of the Chiefs more than I trust that Chargers offense. And both these defenses are pretty much liabilities in my case. Joey Bosa needs to show back up because last week he was non-existent. Melvin Ingram was pretty much doing it by his damn self. So that's what it comes down to. But I'm rolling with the Chiefs to win this game. These are my final picks. Thursday Night Football, which I am doing on Hot Mic. I'm choosing the Steelers. I'm choosing the Jets to win. The Saints to win. The Vikings. Bills. Colts. Did I say Colts? Yes. Colts if Jacoby plays. Jags. if Hoyer plays. That's how it makes out for me. Cowboys, Falcons on the road. Yes, I'm choosing the Falcons to win. The Ravens taking down the Texans. The 49ers beating the Cardinals. Although the Cardinals can mess around and pull up an upset over here. The longer I'm thinking about it, the more my gut is starting to say, choose Arizona, choose Arizona, choose Arizona. But luckily, the video is almost over. So by the time, if it was 10 more minutes, I'd have changed my damn pick. But I rolled with the 49ers to win. Put that on paper. Eagles, all right, the Raiders, the Bears on the road, and then finally, the Chiefs. Those are my picks for your 2019 NFL Week 11, of the National Football League. I said the NFL Week 11 of the National Football League. Why would I reiterate, regurgitate, reverberate, and double down on the same doggone, entity? But again, tonight, for Thursday Night Football, I will be live on YouTube here and also on the Hot Mic app. If you have an Apple phone, if you have an iPhone, do me a favor, download the app Hot Mic. It is completely free. Use the promo code Adonis. You can listen to me do commentary on the game instead of hearing Joe Buck, instead of hearing Troy Aikman on commentary, instead of hearing Booger McFarlane, instead of hearing, Jim Nance, instead of hearing Chris, now here's a guy, Collinsworth, instead of hearing Al Michaels, who I actually do like. You can listen to the Chiseled Adonis call commentary live. All you got to do is just sync my audio to your television. They have everything set up in the app for you, and then you just watch it live. You don't even have to look at me. You can just hear me as you watch the game, and I'll just be talking. On Hot Mic, it's in real time. On YouTube, it's about a 45-second to 1 minute delay. So when you're watching, the chat room is live. It's live, but the feed is a little bit delayed. So do yourself a favor if you want to hear live commentary from the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. Download that Hot Mic app. Utilize the promo code Adonis. And once again, that app is absolutely free. The Android version will be coming out on the Play Store in about a month. It's a little bit slowed. I have an Android myself, so I don't have the physical mic. I have to use the app. I have to use the unchiseled Adonis phone sometimes, so I can just watch the stream there. But I'm gonna have the chat room up. I interact with the guys on Twitter who live tweet me. I'm very active in the chat room. I'm talking to the people on Hot Mic coming this tonight, so it's gonna be very interactive. It's always fun. We averaged about 600 people in the room this past Monday, so I'm trying to do it maybe at least twice a week. Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, and if I could get, if I'm not going to be able to record on a random Sunday, who knows, this can become a staple. And moving forward, they got basketball games and everything. This could become a weekly thing. Guys have been wondering, hey, when are you going to start live streaming? Well, here's your opportunity. I'm doing some commentary, and it's not as if I'm only focused on the game. If you ask me a question in the comment section, we're going to talk about it. I am in complete creative control over what's being talked about. And damn it, we can have a whole dialogue. Have you ever been sitting there watching a game and you heard Chris Collinsworth say something stupid and you wish you could have called him out on it? You can't, because he can't hear you. But if I say something stupid and you want to call me out on it, damn it, I can see your comment. You can live tweet me. I'll see your tweet because I read every single tweet, and we can talk about it. If you ever wanted an opportunity to feel as if you're interacting with me, this is your opportunity. It's always fun. The live stream, the chat room is always great. It's something that you're going to want to see. So just go to that description, go to that top pin comment right above the timestamps, because the timestamp guy is going to be in here at one point. Download the Hot Mic app if you have an iPhone. Utilize the promo code Adonis and watch that live stream tonight. But this has been, let me just tie it all back to where it was. I know I said it earlier, but I feel as if I have to do it in order to close out the video. Your 2019 NFL Week 11 pre-game analysis prediction show live from Hold My Nuggets Incorporated in the backyard. I have been your host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. You enjoy your Thursday Night Football, and damn it, enjoy your Sunday football and your Monday football. Hopefully, I'm undefeated in my picks. I'm feeling a little bit confident. I'll see you guys tonight.